Hi.
Hello again. We're in the Finished Mystery, page 21, and the text is from verse 17 to 20, the last 4 verses of chapter 1 of Revelation. When I saw him, I fell as dead at his feet, and he laid his right hand on me and said, "Do not be afraid, I am the first and the last, and the living one, and I became dead. But look, I am living forever and ever, and I have the keys of death and of the grave." Now this is the modern New World Translation. The old one had Hades. So write down the things that you saw, the things that are, and the things that will take place after these. As for the sacred secret of the 7 stars that you saw in my right hand, and of the 7 golden lampstands, the 7 stars mean the angels of the 7 congregations, and the 7 lampstands mean the 7 congregations. So I guess the first thing we want to do is make the link that's made by verses 17 and 18, because I do not have a complete sentence at the end of 17 when he says, "Do not be afraid, I am the first and the last." Christ talking here. I am the first and the last. We made the point in several prior videos that this is the same as saying Alpha and Omega, and it's a divine claim. But the sentence goes on, "I am the first and the last, the living one, and I became dead." Well, that's a paradox you can't deal with as a witness.
So you want to hear what they said?
Yeah, please.
They said, "The Lord now liveth, and in order to appreciate this, we understand that he was dead for parts of 3 days. Not merely apparently dead, but actually dead. His soul poured out unto death, made an offering for sin. It was because Christ's soul, being," they have in brackets, "was dead, that the apostles could declare that unless his soul, being, were made alive again by a resurrection, there could be no hope in him as a Savior and a life-giver."
This is the foundational error of their anthropology, their definition of man. They have it that when a man dies, his soul dies. And of course they always quote Ezekiel 18:4. That was one of my favorite proof texts too. But in the Old Testament, soul means several things. It can mean life, but you are using it almost as a synonym for body here.
Yeah.
What died? Well, that's why the church believes in the resurrection of the body. It's not the soul, the life, that's the existence that's ended. This is a wrong definition of death and life, therefore. So in the Bible, it is true that soul sometimes means your life, but it's not an equation. It's not an equality between life and body. So body and soul mean separate things. Spirit and soul mean separate things sometimes, as in 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 23. So because you assume that as your foundational doctrine of man, and I think Russell's essential mistake was that, you have it that you don't exist when your bodily death occurs.
So then they've got death, hell, they define that as well. These words imply that the Lord's people go to Hades, and that the hope when going down to Hades, to oblivion, is that in due time our great Redeemer shall unlock this figurative prison house of death and bring forth the captives. So they define it as oblivion.
Oblivion, but the metaphor doesn't work then, does it? People who are in a prison house don't cease to exist. They're captive to something that they have no control over. Someone who has the key has to come and open the door to let them out. So what is it that's in Hades, according to traditional Christian teaching, and even Jewish teaching, that they don't know about? Russell completely rejected this idea, but it is believed by Jews and all Christians, pretty much all Christians up until the time of Russell, believe that there is something that is captive, not in the grave. The body's in the grave, but what is captive in Hades? Your spirit, your personal spirit, which awaits the day of the resurrection. So as they said in the latter part of the first paragraph you read, it's not your soul that is waiting to be resurrected, whether that means your body or your spirit. It's not your soul, your life, your being that's being resurrected. It's your body. Your spirit exists, but is not alive until it's reunited with the body.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So in the creed, in the Apostles' Creed, the earliest great creed of the church that all the churches recite habitually now for at least 1600 years, I believe in the resurrection of the body.
Yeah. Yeah. The importance of that. Yeah.
So, no, death is not oblivion, it's not non-existence, it's not cessation of consciousness. You've defined it wrong. So you've defined Hades wrong because you've defined death wrong, and that you don't get the paradox that's being made here. I am the first and the last, meaning I'm eternal, I am Yahweh, but I died.
Yeah.
Because you don't know that man has two natures.
Yeah.
And the essential nature he has is the spirit, not the body.
But we define soul as breathing body.
Yeah.
No spirit there.
Look it up in the reasoning book. They define it the way the world defines death. That's fatal. It's not the way the Bible defines death. So if you don't get man right, you don't get Jesus right. You don't get the paradox here. He's saying, I'm the first and the last. I am eternal.
Yeah.
It's a divine claim. But he's also saying, I became dead.
So
So
then
if
who
you
had
don't
the
believe
keys?
if you don't believe you have two natures, then you can't believe Christ had two natures
Mm-hmm.
and survived death
Yeah.
and went to Hades to preach to those in prison.
Mm.
Not after he rose from the dead physically, but while he was dead.
Yeah. How did he do that in oblivion?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What are our links? I have them all written down here, don't worry. One of them is from our playlist called What JW.org is Not Telling You About Death and the Afterlife. So we could put the first video up, which is I think about third in that playlist. So if you look at the whole playlist, What JW.org is Not Telling You, you'll see those 7 videos that are linked together based on Genesis and the Gospel of John, as I recall. And also a video we did on Hades. 3 videos on Hell, Hades, and Gehenna. So we'll put the first of those on your screen, and also the What JW.org is Not Telling You playlist.
Good.